Welcome to Fun Fanatics' first interview and a live stream at the same time.
We're here with Time and Space Comics, and we are here with Craig from Rescue Dawgz. Guys, thank you so much for doing this for us. Thank you for letting us be a part of this. I think this is a pretty big deal for us as well. We're both kind of nervous. So, real quick, out the gate, tell us about yourself, your name, what you're about. Let's get into it.
I'm Kent with Time and Space Comics, and this is...
I'm Craig with Rescue Dawgz.
Okay. Where are you guys based out of? What locations can people find Time and Space
I'm
Comics?
in the store, and I also live in Stafford, Virginia.
Okay.
And Rescue Dawgz has been largely online, working out of my home, but now with working with Kent, Rescue Dawgz has a home inside of Time and Space Comics.
Okay, cool. So for everyone that's watching online, everyone that's watching this later, this is something that has been a little bit in the making. It's been a couple, we took some time off here at Fun Fanatics, and we came back, and we're coming back in strong. So you guys are gonna see a lot of content come from us, from a lot of different collaborators, a lot of different businesses. And so we're super excited just to kind of announce these partnerships that we have building up. And so before we do that, we wanna make sure that we debut and introduce our partners as we go forward. So Kent, tell us about Time and Space Comics. Where did comic books become a passion in your life now to the point where you have a store? Tell us the journey, what happened?
That's a loaded question. But being dyslexic, comic books were the avenue where I could read books and feel comfortable reading books and learn how to read actually better because of comic books. And during 2000, she's gonna be mad at me if I get this wrong. My wife and I met in 2019, and I started Time and Space in 2020. And the time of Time and Space Comics started because my wife and I say, I love you through time and space. We were trying to figure out a name because we were just running this through our house and doing it on Whatnot and doing all that. So we created Time and Space Comics in 2020 and put it all through our house and made a mess of our house and comics and toys everywhere. So it has always been a passion of mine, and then when I met my wife, it kind of spiraled into an actual business, which I realized I want to do the rest of my life. Wow. So I wanted to, at a point, give the people who are like me, who are dyslexic or having problems with reading or just love comic books, an avenue to go to a shop and have that same experience like I did. I remember skipping Sunday school, unfortunately, some of the times to go to the comic book store in Vienna across the street. Right. And go see Ed at the comic book store and really just kind of loving it, loving the whole environment, loving the stories, teaching you morals, which Sunday school would have done. It's all
right. Hey,
it was one of those things. It definitely opened it up. Being somebody who's dyslexic, to have something for me to read, something where it's not as many words, but you have pictures to go along with it, and great stories and great morals and values out of certain books and characters.
Wow. So yeah, I know you said that you skipping Sunday school, which is cool. Sorry, all is forgiven here, right? So something that I want to ask, when it comes to your passion for that comics, what was the first one that you kind of found yourself kind of immersed in? Which world was it that drew you in? What was the one?
To be honest, it was Superman. So being named after Superman, that was the avenue I went to. It was somebody I could relate with. It was somebody that had kind of the same struggles, kind of feeling like an outsider, but because being dyslexic means that you have actually heightened abilities when it comes to spatial reasoning and a whole bunch of things. In school, it wasn't easy. So I could relate with the Clark Kent in the high school version, especially like Smallville, things like that, where he is an outsider. All he can talk to is his parents. And my parents were slightly older. My dad was born in 1938. Okay. So that is when Superman actually first aired. Right. The first comic for Superman was in 1938. And so I had slightly older parents, and in doing so, they became Ma and Pa Kent. And so embodying me with very old school values and traditions.
So what would you say would be the life that you want to present to up and coming like comic book enthusiasts now? Like what would Time and Space Comics present to them? Like what's the world for them if they were to come to the store?
That they're not alone. There is a giant community who love the exact same things they love. They're not alienated. It doesn't matter color, race, anything. Comic books and toys are for everybody of all nationalities, colors, religions, everything. It's one of those we can all come together and love the same stories, love the same characters, and talk about them in a fun environment. A lot of people, especially growing up earlier, there's always that one friend who is the comic book person. It is not. Now it's everybody is a fan because of the Marvel movies and everything. Back in the day, it was not as popular. It was a small niche of people. Cons were very small, and there weren't as many books, there weren't as many. Now the community has riled around with the Marvel movies, and everybody knows who Thor is, everybody knows who Captain America is, and certainly everybody knows who Superman is.
Right.
And one of the most popular is Batman, of course.
Well, actually, brings me to my next question. Since you guys are both the spectrum, Superman, Batman fans, who would you pit against a fight to the death? Who would you go?
I'll answer first. I don't want to hear what you say. It's actually in the comic book code, nobody wins in a fight. That is the certain thing. Stan Lee put it perfectly. In a matchup between two comic book heroes,
right,
there is no winner in the end. They are all both equal. Okay. So when it comes to Batman, Superman, they are the yin and yang of the DC universe. You have the dark and the light, but they both have the same morals. They will not kill.
Okay. I'm not gonna lie, I give it to Superman. What is it, the million one? The one where he's like super golded out because he like drove into the sun? What Superman is that one?
The one where he gets thrown into the sun?
No, he's like immersed and he comes out like super godly. Like he comes out like the strongest Superman I think
they
there
actually
was.
show that in the new Superman Lois show.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Because he had to fight, I believe it was Doomsday.
Okay.
And when that happens, Doomsday was one of his biggest foes. In the comic book, Doomsday is the one who kills Superman. Yes.
Spoilers. If you haven't read it. Let me stop.
Check it out. It is a good book.
Okay. That is awesome. Okay. So going into that, when it comes to Time and Space Comics, I guess another question I have is when it comes to your collection, what do you got? What are some grails that you're hanging on to that will never see the face of the store? What are some things that you brought to the store but you're like, maybe?
I'm a history fan, so a lot of my comic book collection is pieces from much older comic books. I have the very first Lois Lane on cover. Whoa. Yep. So that is Action Comics number 50. And so I've got that one, and I've also got a Captain America from World War II. So that was when he was published, and then Marvel brought him back in Avengers number 4 when he was defreezed, as you saw in the movies.
Wow.
Okay. So some of those, they're never going to be in the store. They're in my own personal collection. But at the same time, I did bring in from my personal first appearance of Thor, first appearance of Loki, first appearance of Justice League.
Oh, so you got some grails.
Yeah.
You got some serious grails. Yep. Holy moly, dude.
All available at Time and Space Comics.
What is the most expensive item you have held?
Most expensive item that I've held.
Because I know you got a lot of first appearances.
Yeah, it all depends, because I would have to say it's the Captain America during the war, because they are so hard to find. They don't, money value, I don't really look at that, especially when I was a collector. I was just trying to find good pieces of history. Right. But at the same time, there's some other books that go for 8-10 grand, just depending on what is popular. Like when the Thor movie came out and all of the Thor MCU came out, my Thor book went up a lot more than I thought it would. But comic books, like stocks, they vary. Okay. They will go up and down, so I never really look at that. I look at how hard it is to find. So the first Action Comics number 50, first Lois Lane on the cover, and my number 32 of Captain America are more valuable than I would think in my own personal collection, because I just love looking at them and knowing the history.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
So another question I got is, obviously we have the comic book fans that are here established, right? But your store doesn't just have comics. What other things that you got feature in the store that, you know, other niches, other communities can engage with?
It's everything. Really, it's toys, comics, Funko Pops, as we even have Beanie Babies because we're an 80s, 90s store theme. Being the 80s and 90s theme of the store, it's everything from that time period. The 80s was a huge time for toys. Bigger than most other times, and that's when the collector craze actually started. We have from Spawn to Stranger Things to even Jack Sparrow, we have it all for anybody who just loves that sort of thing. We even have Buffy. I mean, I could go down this wall, but pretty much you name it, we've got it because it is so broad. I mean, Ninja Turtles down to the Lost Boys. You know, I mean, all of that still is the same room because they all had comic books made of these characters. Even Lost Boys has their own comic book. Ninja Turtles, Spawn, everything in the store has a corresponding comic book, which we even talked about before. When it came to Rescue Dawgz, really, it was what comic books did we have for dogs? And Crypto has become popular. Ace's Batman's dog. You know, we've got the new James Gunn movie coming out, which is going to debut for a lot of people who don't know who Crypto is. Superman's dog, don't forget that. So a lot of that stuff.
That's awesome. Well, touching on that, Rescue Dawgz. Craig, tell us about it. What's going on?
Rescue Dawgz is a 501c3 nonprofit that I started a few years ago. My dad's health was going downhill, and he was always the guy in the community that was, you know, if somebody needed help, if we needed to raise money for something, call Larry, he'll know a way to figure it out. Well, he passed away in May of 22, so that's when I decided we're going to open up Rescue Dawgz, and we're going to use it as a fundraiser, but what am I passionate about? And I went, well, we've loved Rescue Dawgz. All of our dogs have been rescues, so we went ahead and decided we were going to run Rescue Dawgz as a fundraiser to help shelter dogs. So we have donated to cover cost of adoption so people can come in and not have to foot that huge bill when it comes time to adopt their pets. We have contributed to other local setups. There's a group called Tagged that provides college startup stuff for youth coming out of the foster care system. So we've sponsored some of their students and provided them with what they need for their dorm rooms. We've given to some local individuals who have had a hard time covering the cost of their vet care. So it's all about, you know, taking care of the animals and the people in our community.
That's awesome. So, you know, and it seems like you don't just limit it just to dogs. You basically expanded the whole community, which is a big reach, and that's always great. Something that I really want to know is like, what's one of the stories that's probably impacted you, that's kind of given you that fuel to keep going, to keep pressing? Because I know with a lot of fundraisings, sometimes, you know, we get discouraged because we don't see something happen or we just don't see the results. But like, what has been your fuel to keep pushing forward?
I don't want to get a real job.
For sure.
It kind of goes back to the last job I had, and it was a family-run business that I was working for, and I told the owners, the husband and wife that ran it, I said, when my career is done, I want you guys being the last people I ever work for. And there came a time when I got called into the office and was told that my position was no longer needed. So I've kind of made a goal to live by that rule and have them be the last people I ever worked for. I want to be in control of my destiny and what I do and how I can help other people without the confines of somebody who's always there to go, yes, we can, no, we can't, we can do this, we can do that. I want to hear yeses. And, you know, no is a very negative word.
Right.
Don't tell me something can't be done. Tell me how it can be done. And that's what I kind of wanted to carry forward in being able to help. I mean, let's face it, dogs are the reason a lot of us get up in the morning and go to bed at night, is because we have that pet who to us is just a portion of our world, but to the pet, we are their world.
Right.
And all of our dogs have been rescues. And you look at life a lot differently when you have more behind it than you do ahead.
Right.
And I wanted to make the time that I have more meaningful and help the dogs find forever homes. So that's one of the big things we do. Now, we also do help out. Being able to help out people is another wonderful thing. And the way we do a lot of our fundraising is through, funny you say pressing. We do t-shirts, hoodies. So yeah, we're pressing a lot of the shirts that we do. But when we sell those, they are fundraisers. We had a girl in New York that I got to know through a community of through the paranormal community. And she's a 13-year-old girl, was suffering from bone cancer. Wow. And it's a lot of money that insurance doesn't cover when you constantly have to travel with your child back and forth. So we created a shirt specifically for her. Wow. And the proceeds from that shirt, whenever they were bought, they went to the family so that they could afford things like the travel expenses to get to and from the hospital, the help to make up for the lost revenue for when they were out of work. Right. So we just want to be able to do things that make an impact on our community.
That's incredible. That is awesome. So now for the big reason, like, because it seems like two really big independent people that are pursuing helping the community. What are you guys doing together? What is this announcement? What's going on?
Well, it was this merger of our two passions. I actually share a lot of Kent's passion because I was the kid that never grew up. I grew up in the late 70s, early 80s. So for me, it was Star Wars, G.I. Joe, all that stuff. And, you know, we actually had flea markets where you could go. And so I was buying older stuff from the 60s and I just loved it. And we moved around a lot as kids. And wherever we moved, I would always find a comic shop or a collectible toy shop and go in and kind of introduce myself and see what's going on. And a lot of them are they're very proud of their stuff, shall we say. The prices are really high. Right. The quality is, right. And so, and keep in mind, I've been doing this for 40 some odd years. Wow. And I was scrolling through Facebook Marketplace and there was this picture of actually one of the gondolas that we have in the store here. And it just said 80s, 90s toys. Stafford. What the hell? I'm going to make a drive up there.
Amazing marketing. It got you, yeah.
It showed stuff, and I was like, I want to see this place. So I came up and looked around, and I really liked what I saw. But what I also liked was the way Kent and his staff interacted with myself as a customer and the other customers in there. Mm-hmm. It wasn't that. You know, sometimes you walk into a store like that and it's almost like, do I have permission to come in and look at your stuff? Mm. But it was a very welcome atmosphere here, and they wanted us, to feel at home, ask questions, and we had great conversations. And I got to thinking to myself, being the geek that I am, I had done a t-shirt line as something just for fun, which was a mashup of Star Wars and the Terminator. Okay. And it's called Terminator Wars. Right. And I'll come back to that in just a minute. But I also started to do some t-shirts that were utilizing my own toy collection. Okay. And I got to talking to Kent about, hey, would you be interested in selling that product here in the store? And so we were talking about that, and I was also actively going out and looking for collections. And Kent said, hey, I need somebody who can do that. I'm like, yeah, I can do that for you. And as things progressed a little bit, there was some changing in the structure of who was running Time and Space Comics. Mm-hmm. And Kent needed some help, and that's what Rescue Dawgz is all about. So I live by two simple rules with Rescue Dawgz. Is number one, I need to be able to take care of my family. Number two, I need to be able to give back to the community. If I can do those two things, everything else will take care of itself. And the more I got to talking to Kent, the more our philosophies kind of aligned with that, because he wants this store to be a place in the community where everybody can feel comfortable to come in and enjoy. It doesn't have to be just come in and buy something. If you just want to come in and talk about your favorite movie or comic or TV show, we're here to make friends.
Right.
So when he was looking at different options to keep the store open, I said, I've got a couple ideas. Let's sit down and talk about it. And we went through about 27 different paths that we could have gone down in about a week's time.
Right.
But we finally found something that made sense to everybody. And so now Rescue Dawgz and Time and Space Comics are partnered together, or as we like to say on our website, partnered together. But we are here. We also, I want to take a moment to thank extremely nice landlord that we have that has worked on some restructuring with us. So it really is taking a community of people to make this store be able to continue and give back to the community that we serve.
That is awesome.
Getting back to the Terminator Wars shirts. May 3rd is Free Comic Book Day. May 4th is Star Wars Day.
Right.
Big weekend. It's one of our, it's our Super Bowl of weekends, to be honest.
I am giving away Terminator Wars t-shirts that weekend until they're all gone. And I have a stack of them made up.
Okay.
So we're gonna have free shirts going out. We're gonna have
Celebrity guests.
We are going through right now and repricing everything in the store so that when you come in, you can look at a toy that you had at your childhood and be able to buy it and take it home and not feel like, wow, I just spent the rent money.
I love that. That is freaking awesome. So you guys know, come through May 3rd, get your free comic book, buy your Terminator shirts or get your Terminator shirts. And that's exciting. That's a pretty big deal.
And a little teaser, actually. Do you know the game Duke Nukem?
Absolutely.
We are having the voice of Duke Nukem come to the store to meet every customer that day on May 3rd so that you can meet the voice of Duke Nukem, along with a lot of other celebrity guests we're going to have during that day and cosplayers.
Wow.
It's going to be a whole day of extravaganza, all weekend. Extravaganza.
Yeah.
Plan on coming for fun.
Wow. Okay. So there you go, guys. Well, that is big news.
We're also, just to throw this out, we are going to be giving away, everybody that walks in the door gets a raffle ticket. End of Free Comic Book Day, we are raffling off a fairly substantial gift certificate to the store.
Okay.
And for Star Wars Day, we are raffling off a vintage 1983 carded Return of the Jedi action figure.
Whoa. Yep. Yeah, you talk about just stacking everything up, bro. What the heck? That is crazy.
And I'll throw one more in there.
Wait, there's more.
There is more. We will be announcing a special deal for people that come in and basically subscribe to their comics through our store.
Okay.
We are putting a discount together on new comics for them that is probably better than anything they're going to find anywhere.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
Yep, and that's all the new comics that come out each week. Every Wednesday is New Comic Book Day, that's when all the stores put out the new releases. And so we're going to be giving a huge discount for all of our pool customers, as we put it. I'd buy that for $1, if you know that reference. That's why Craig and I get along. Yep. He knows what I'm talking about.
He's the brother I never had.
I love that, man. Well, guys, thank you so much. That it's incredible to see that there's people in Stafford community and just the southern part of the DMV that are still looking out not just for the up and coming generation, but also looking out for the people that really don't get acknowledged, which is our animals. People usually see people walking around, but the pets are back at home, waiting for their owners to come back, And so that's a really cool dynamic just to see that coming together and just being able to see that you guys are willing to extend the hand out to everyone that's wanting to come to the community. So we thank you for that, honestly.
We
Awesome.
will be doing stuff with some of the animal rescues in the area. That's stuff that's on my plate to get set up, and we'll be doing some of that here in the store.
Yeah.
We are also expanding on some of the programs that we do for the community. We have a weekly Dungeons and Dragons game that we have dungeon masters come in and run the games for us. We also have local authors that are going to sign up with us. Tentatively, we have our first book signing on May 18th, Sunday, May 18th here, where you can actually meet a local fantasy sci-fi author and get your book and get it signed. We are also getting in with the paranormal community, and we'll have some special stuff for them as well.
Jeff. That's our ghost in the store, actually.
Okay.
To be honest, he's seen it. Stuff flies off shelves. Things just fall. It's actually kind of, when I told Craig about it, he was like, I actually know a paranormal team that can come in and find out what's really going on, which is kind of funny. But at the same time, kind of fun. Yeah,
Right.
you know.
Okay. Well, guys, thank you again so much for your time. Thank you for being one of our first debuters on this platform, and we're just so thankful, and we're excited just to kind of have you guys. You guys catch them on April 26th at our event. Catch them also on May 31st down here in Fredericksburg. We would love to have you guys come in and give them some support, give them some love. I know they're going to bring some exclusive pieces from Rescue Dawgz and some special grails from Time and Space Comics. So other than that, guys, thank you so much. Until then, we'll see you guys later. Stay blessed.